What's up YouTube? Leather Jacket John here, and welcome to my channel. This is my very first video, and I wanted to do a bit of an intro about what this channel is, what it's going to be, who it's for, and then of course a little bit of background about me. As far as this channel and me doing it, it's been something that I've been thinking about for quite some time now, probably about a year, which is exactly the time that I started my Instagram, which was early 2023, partly because I, just being such a leather jacket lover, I wanted to see this kind of content, and there's definitely some leather jacket content out there. I mean, especially, YouTube videos, but I don't feel that there is enough of it. So that's mainly the main reason why I wanted to start doing this. I've been holding back because I don't know how to do YouTube videos, and I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do any kind of like great production kind of quality. So I've been kind of holding back, but my style is just kind of like very just down and dirty. I'm doing this right now on a iPhone on a tripod with a little ring thingy behind it, and indoors. I'm getting a little bit of natural sunlight, but it's probably just going to be like this kind of format. The only thing, and this is maybe one of the reasons why I was kind of holding back, is just I don't know how to do the shots of the jackets. But I'm probably just going to take the phone without any editing and just kind of, do the shots of the jackets. And then of course it'll be like this, where I'm just wearing it, and you'll be able to kind of, see the fit as I'm talking. That kind of a thing. So that's as far as kind of like the channel and, kind of like the evolution of me wanting to do it and me actually doing it. And, part of the reason is people have been asking me to do these videos. Again, as I'm talking, kind of like showing you the fit of this jacket, which is a Shop Perfecto 618. This is the one I bought to wear. I have a bunch other for collection. This one was bought 2021, and it's one of my favorite jackets, one of the ones I wear the most, and I love it. So that's the channel, what I'm wearing, and as far as what it's gonna be and who it's for. Obviously, leather jacket lovers, leather jacket enthusiasts, and people, and with all ranges, people that are just want to get into it, but also people that have experience, or other collectors, and kind of anything in between that. I would say though that it's probably geared more towards, or going to be geared more towards, people that have a little bit of experience. And as far as what it's going to be, I kind of don't want it to be like reviews, but I will and can review. I don't want it to be like a guide or how-to, but I will kind of go over that, especially when it comes to buying, where to buy, and especially when it comes to vintage. When it comes to, obviously just, giving information on leathers and that kind of thing. Of course, I'll go over that. When it comes to fit, and what's appropriate for each person, I think, and this is why I kind of think that there's a little bit of an issue with, guide kind of videos, is that I'll say that the leather jacket thing is a journey, and everybody kind of has to go through their own journey, make their own mistakes, see things for themselves, try things for themselves, make mistakes. That's the only really, you could learn from other people that have experience, but that's the only really way to learn, is just to try and fail and just try for yourself. You don't know until you actually get something, whether you're gonna like it or not, whether you're gonna wanna keep it or not. So, but there are definitely things that you can learn from other people. And so in that sense, yes, I will kind of be doing kind of guide stuff. So that's who it's for and what it's gonna be. And it's gonna be this kind of setup. You might not be able to see, or it's not going to be like maybe the highest quality, but this is what it's going to be. I'm not going to do anything more than this. I don't want to, I don't have time. And I just don't have the desire to kind of even learn. I can get better equipment, that's not an issue, but I'm not gonna do anything with that equipment. So anyway, now about me, a little bit of background on me. My name is John, I'm a leather jacket collector. I have about roughly 100 jackets, 80 roughly vintage, 20 roughly new. This is one of them. I've been doing it since 2006. That's when I graduated. I had, there was an event that year that kind of made me kind of change my outlook on style and fashion and made me kind of change my wardrobe. It was my graduating year of college, and I went to school for graphic and web design. We had a portfolio review, and that's where employers came in, they kind of critiqued your portfolio, but hopefully you got an internship or a job. We were told to dress business casual. I did not have anything business casual. I'm 5'4", I'm roughly 130 to 140 pounds. Back then in my early 20s, I'm 39, and in my early 20s, I was like a $120 soaking wet. So it was, and we were also coming off the era of it was just starting the whole slim fit era, but we were coming off that like 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, where stuff was still baggy, and it was impossible for me to find, being that small, impossible for me to find anything that fit, or it was just really tough. But we were told to dress business casual, and it kind of made me open my eyes, like, oh, I'm getting into business. I need to, be just conscious of how I present myself, and especially just wearing and buying clothes that fit me. Because before, it was just, if it was in the range, I would just wear it, and for me, it was mostly oversized. So that kind of event in 2006, and earlier that year, I started freelancing, and I had a little bit of money in my pocket, and I don't remember if it was late 2006 or early 2007. I was walking in H&M because I could shop there, and they have extra smalls and that kind of thing, and I saw a leather jacket. I bought it, and that kind of really reignited, I should say, how I fell in love with leather jackets before, because I've loved leather jackets since I was a kid. But seeing that, but I didn't really wear through middle school, even though I had one in high school, I didn't really wear it. I was more like in hip hop style, as far as just how I dressed, just like everything baggy, like just oversized hoodies, that's how I dressed. And I saw that H&M jacket, and I bought it, and that kind of reignited my passion for my childhood. So how I fell in love with leather jackets, since I was a kid, seeing them in life on, the big screen, movies absolutely had a massive influence on me. So, I'm a 90s kid, whether it was, this was more late 80s, but I saw it in the early 90s, like Top Gun, Indiana Jones, The Terminator, a bunch of others. And the heroes wore the leather jacket. So as a kid, without really understanding or having the ability to comprehend anything, that whole concept of cool that a leather jacket kind of conveys, I was able to just almost innately understand that as a kid that doesn't understand anything. And that's what's awesome about a leather jacket. It's cool. It's the coolest thing that a person can wear, and I think the coolest thing that a person can own. There's a lot of other cool things that you can wear, like boots and denim and other outerwear. Sunglasses make you look really cool, but there's nothing quite like a leather jacket. And as far as other things that you can own, there's watches and jewelry and old motorcycles or cars. But in my opinion, the leather jacket is just way cooler than all of that. You could, roll in on your, vintage, Harley or whatever, your vintage motorcycle to wherever you're going, but you get off the bike and the bike stays there. The jacket goes with you, and whatever happens, that's with the jacket when you're living your life, that is your story. And I mean, you know, just it could be, I'm just gonna throw out like a crazy example, but you know, you could be at a bar with your jacket on and you kind of, you know, bump into this girl and she spills her drink on you. You know, because it's a leather jacket, it's like nothing, like, okay, who cares, you just wipe it down. But you start talking and, you know, one thing leads to another, you fall in love, you marry this woman, she's the love of your life, she's the mother of your children, and, you know, that story, the jacket was there with you. You know, the leather jacket, it's so personal. I mean, you can customize cars and jeans and all of that, but obviously you can do that with leather jackets, but it's so personal. It's like a second skin. It grows with you, it evolves with you. The more it gets beat up, the better it looks. There's nothing cooler to just see like a picture of an awesome beat up old leather jacket hanging, and that's like such a like cool thing. You know, of course, there's that whole, especially with a black biker jacket, there's that whole, you know, bad boy image, rebel image. It represents freedom. It represents individuality. I mean, especially, you know, and you know, this is throughout time, throughout history, people would, you know, paint on their jackets. They would adorn their jackets, you know, with studs and artwork and this and that. So it represents, you know, all of that. It, you know, it's anti-authority. You know, it kind of has like this, you know, that whole punk rock, you know, fuck you attitude, which I love about leather jackets. You know, it's you know, it makes you feel like $1,000,000. I mean, if anybody has ever put one on, and if you love leather jackets, because sometimes you could put this on and you'll just feel kind of out of place, or it might feel, no, this is not me. But if you love it and you put one of these on for the very first time, I remember putting one of these on for the very first time, and you know, the clinking of the metal, you know, the squeaking of the leather, the smell. You know, I put one on and all of a sudden I'm like, you know, 5 inches taller. I'm like walking with a swag. It just makes you feel confident. It makes you feel like $1,000,000. It's you know, it makes you feel like a fucking superhero. It really does. And so that's like so cool. Of course, you know, the in my opinion, at least, the person makes the jacket more than the jacket makes the person. But that's all, you know, what a leather jacket does for you. And that's why I love leather jackets. I think it's just the coolest thing ever. So that's my love for leather jackets. I kind of went over a little bit my history. Started in 2006. That was when I bought my first jacket. Up until, and I went through countless jackets up until like roughly 2013. And I had pretty much from most brands. A lot of it was, especially back then, vintage was like dirt cheap, especially 60s and 70s. That's all I could really afford. And then just like lower end stuff. So the vintage stuff, I know I had Gap leather jackets, Banana Republic leather jackets, J. Crew leather jackets. Then I started to graduate, you know, around that time, late 06, early 07, I found out about the Fedora Lounge, and then two main brands on there. One was Aero, one was Lost Worlds. I fell in love with the Aero Highwayman. I bought a bunch of them. I didn't, you know, it took me a lot of failure to realize that especially that and that cut from back then, it just didn't fit me. I bought something as small as a 32 and it was still really big. It was like 2 sizes oversized. So, I bought my first like brand new leather jacket in 2010. That's actually when I made my account on the Fedora Lounge, which I found out about the Fedora Lounge a few years earlier, and that's where I found out about the Aero and Lost Worlds, because those were the two brands that were being, you know, the most praised and being the most talked about at the time on the Fedora Lounge. And yeah, I bought that Lost Worlds in 2010, and it was a brand new jacket. It was on eBay, not directly from Lost Worlds, and I still remember the listing. It was a Japanese order that got canceled, and Lost Worlds just wanted to get rid of it. Half off at the time, I think, was $400 or maybe $450. I think 400, maybe 450. I don't remember. And it was still a lot of money for me back then, but I saved up. I got the jacket. I eventually sold it because it just didn't work for me. It's just too big and bulky for me. They're great jackets. They just don't work for, in my opinion, just smaller, skinny guys. And so that was 2010. Bought, again, that early 2007 to 2013, just a million jackets. I kept a bunch, and I actually have a few that I still own to this day. Oldest one being from 2011. It's actually an LVC, a Levi's vintage clothing jacket. It's one of my favorites. It's probably one that I've spent the most hours in out of everything that I own. I love that jacket. And in 2013, I I had a few custom orders, and I made mistakes on them. So during all that time, all those jackets, that was my learning period. In 2013, after about 5-6 years of doing it, and I got a custom Johnson Leathers jacket. And at that time, I had 7 or 8 jackets, something like that, and I thought I was done. And other stuff kind of took priority in my life, especially like my business and my enthusiasm and kind of my excitement for this hobby kind of died down a bit. And if you've been doing this for long enough, or any kind of hobby, you kind of go through these waves of up and down, and how excited you are, how enthusiastic you are, how much you're buying, that kind of thing. And I just had bigger priorities. I would still get excited when leather jacket season came around to wear my jackets, but before that, in like my first 5 years, even in the summer when I couldn't wear my jackets, I was still on eBay and getting like reading the Fedora Lounge and that kind of thing. But it kind of died down, and it wasn't until 2017 when I bought my first Japanese leather jacket. I always wanted them, but they were really expensive, hard to get. I used a proxy site. That was the first time I felt comfortable, and I bought one, and that reignited everything for me again. Because even though I can say now it's not the perfect fit, but at the time I was like, oh my God, nothing has ever fit me this good. And by that time, that Johnson Leathers, which was perfect, I kind of outgrew it. I didn't make as many mistakes on that one, but still, I probably should have gotten it a little bit longer, just a tad. Everything else is actually pretty good. It's just the length of it that I can still wear, but it's not, like I said, I just outgrew it. And I would say, at that point, I had, I don't know, 15, I don't really remember 2017 how many jackets, but from that point on, I was also, doing better for myself, financially. So I was able to just, and that's when I just started buying a lot, whether it was vintage or Japanese, mostly new stuff, a lot of Japanese, but not necessarily all Japanese. It's just that the Japanese stuff just works for me. It's not going to work for everybody, but it works for me. And I was also getting, some vintage, but not as a collection, more for me to just wear. I didn't even think about it as a vintage. I thought about it as, I'm just buying a used old jacket to wear. And that's what I thought about it. And it wasn't until 2019. And at that point, I probably had a handful of vintage jackets, but that was the first time I bought a jacket knowing I'm not going to wear it. And that's when I kind of was like, all right, so I have the new stuff that I'm wearing, and you could say that's a collection as well. But as far as like a vintage collection, having a handful at that point, I bought that one, and that kind of I didn't really go crazy, but because I still, I was very busy with my work. I changed careers in 2016, but I just didn't have the time to kind of look for this stuff. And it took me a process of, kind of understanding how to get them, which is very important. And, kind of dipping my foot into that vintage world to really get to a point where, so it was from 2019 on, I was a little bit more interested in vintage because I kind of had everything I wanted as far as the newer jackets. Here and there, I still wanted some stuff, and I've gotten stuff. Like last year, I bought a brand new Japanese jacket, but it was more, from that point on, it was more vintage, and a few things culminated early last year. I mentioned I started my Instagram, and it was a down year in my industry. And I was, like I said, I was doing well for myself. So those three things together, and especially joining Instagram, but having the time, really it was just having the time, and from 2023, like beginning of last year, I mean, my collection exploded because of those three things. And I bought, I don't know, 60 jackets probably in 2023, which is nuts. It kind of taught me a lesson on how to manage my downtime and, you know, not to get into those pitfalls of, you know, when you're just bored and you just go on eBay and just buy, click, buy. It's very easy to get into that. So it kind of taught me a lesson. I'm still learning. That's, the channel, who it's for, what it's going to be, and history on me. I'm wearing my Shot Perfecto today for this video because I want my second video to be on Shot, mostly on, like, you know, the vintage ones and the ones that and I don't own them all, but I own enough that I can go over because I feel like that is something that's missing. I'll also go over a history because there's a lot of great shop videos, but not, and good history, but not one that's like fully complete, fully accurate, and especially one that goes over the Shot-Beck connection, because they're closely intertwined, and they're both super important in the vintage leather jacket world, but even though they're separate entities. So I want to go over that, and then, yeah, go over some vintage Shot jackets and fits, and how they differ from the ones today. And hopefully you'll tune in for that. So thank you. And yeah, hopefully you stay tuned.